The following podcast, iDesign Lab, is an SW Group production in association with 5 Star and TW Interiors. This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends. iDesign Lab provides industry insight, discussing the latest trends, styles, and everything in between to better help you style your life through advice from trendsetters, designers, influencers, innovators, fabricators, and manufacturers, as well as personal stories that inspire, motivate, and excite. And join us on this elevated, informative, and lively journey into the world of all things design. Our guest today is Allison Stewart, a seasoned real estate expert. She's a local legend in Delray Beach, Florida. Born and raised in this vibrant coastal community, she brings a deep-rooted passion and unparalleled knowledge of the area to every client she works with. With 15 years of experience in the real estate market, Allison has built a reputation as one of the top agents in the region, consistently recognized by her peers as a top producer year after year. Her expertise shines in her ability to achieve the highest possible prices for sellers and match buyers with the home of their dreams. Whether you're buying or selling, Allison's commitment to excellence ensures every transaction is handled with the utmost care and precision. Beyond her real estate prowess, Allison is a dedicated philanthropist, giving back to the community through her support of the City of Hope Charity Foundation. She has co-chaired numerous events, tirelessly raising funds for a cause close to her heart.
Welcome to iDesign Lab podcast. Today's guest, Allison Stewart, a dynamic leader in real estate. She specializes in high-end residential properties in South Palm Beach County. She is an awesome leader in our community and also a dear friend. Welcome to the podcast.
You. This is fun.
So the first question we have to ask is, how did you get into real estate?
How did I get into real estate? Honestly?
Yeah.
No, honestly.
I
yes.
wanted a flexible job where I didn't have standard hours. And I thought it would be fun and pretty. I'd get to look at pretty things all day. And, this is 20-year-old Allison.
Right.
And then I'd have a ton of free time. I could travel. And the reality is I have no freedom, no flexibility.
Now. That's
now.
because you're successful.
Yeah.
You're taking care of the needs of all your clients.
And I like to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I got into it, I thought, this will be fun. I get to see pretty houses and make my own schedule.
Did you have any family members or anyone that kind of led you towards it?
No. My degree was in finance and marketing. And I thought I'd go into business with my dad, who's a financial advisor. I interned in that industry in college, and that was my path, and I hated it.
Really? You didn't enjoy it at all?
No, I
didn't feel the connection?
Not at all. And so I literally, my dad was friends with somebody that was in the business, family friend, and, little did I know they would hire anyone.
Did they mentor you in that regard, or have you come and see how?
And I stayed with the same company for 20 years.
Okay.
But you had to get a license first?
Oh, yeah. You had to get a license and go through these silly courses. And
But did you have to have the license first before you could work or start doing anything?
Yeah, you had to. So I went through the class to see if it was something I really enjoyed or thought I could see myself doing. And then you've taken an exam, and then they officially hired me.
So what did it look like starting out? Like, how did you go about gaining clientele? Like you said, you hung your hat at one particular branch, or what do you call that? A real...
real estate firm.
Real estate office?
Yeah.
Estate firm.
It's hard to get into. I mean, you don't realize if no one's handing someone with no experience a house to sell. You don't just, someone, it's someone's biggest asset, their biggest decision that they're making, probably, maybe ever, maybe in 10 years. They were not going to hand me.
So how did you get your first client, or how did you start building clients?
I would take
it's like
anything.
the chicken or the egg.
I would take anything.
Well,
I lived with my parents for 6 months to a year. I went at least 6 months without a paycheck.
Wow.
But were you enjoying it during this growth time?
No. I mean,
wondering.
I didn't hate it, but it was just like, when is something going to happen? And this was 25 years ago, so I would do $200,000 places, any kind of lead, any kind of, I would just work anything, and really word of mouth. Somebody referred a friend, and then they referred a friend, and but it took me 10 years to get my own confidence, to know that to know that I could beat out another agent, that I was better for the job. And then that comes across when you meet with people,
right.
Not in an arrogant way, just like, I can help you and I'm going to put the effort in more than somebody else is.
Is there one skill that's more important than anything in a position like this? I mean, is it having confidence in yourself, or great people skills, or really knowing the community and what's for sale? Is there anything that's more important than another?
No, I mean, it would be hard to do without confidence, and you can't have confidence without the knowledge.
Mm-hmm. True. Knowledge
a lot
is
of people,
power.
A lot of people have knowledge but not confidence. A whole lot of people have confidence without the knowledge, or they just don't know, but they pretend. And I think that's dangerous to, it's hurting people.
Yeah.
Hurting clients.
So when you say knowledge, you mean knowing everything else that's for sale, necessarily, that not just what you're selling.
Because anybody these days especially can find out what's for sale, but just strategically, how does the market feel? What's the market doing? Okay, this house sold for this, but it's not apples to apples. Everyone thinks their house is nicer than their neighbors.
Right.
So I learned that very early on.
That's funny.
They think their house is nice. Oh, but ours has
worth
this.
more.
And I'm like, sometimes it matters and sometimes it just doesn't.
Right.
I think honesty with people, being upfront, is huge, because I've missed out. To this day, I don't lose too many listing appointments. If I go on a listing, I'm probably getting it. But I learned that I was losing listings, and listings is how you grow and how you get more business. Most realtors, I mean, just being a listing agent versus a buyer's agent, that's how you really grow.
Wow.
But I was losing listings because some other realtor would come in there and say, no, your house isn't worth $2 million, it's worth 2.5. And they were just telling them what they wanted to hear,
just to get the
listing. And it would sit on the market for a year, and but I was losing out, and I never changed my strategy. I was never going to overprice things because it would be a waste of my time.
So when you say strategy, we kind of think of that as designing the direction of your business, designing how, because of the iDesign Lab, and we try to talk about design all the time. You're designing. What goes into kind of the thought process of designing like your next new client?
Well, strategy.
A strategy. Is there a strategy? Do you look at each one differently, or is it the same?
I was just going to ask that too. I mean, do you look at each listing as something you have to have different strategies for each one?
Yes, I think so. And time and market, time and place of what's going on in the world, what's the price point, what's happening at a $400,000 place and a $4 million place is very different. So you have to look at them each individually and in that moment in time. And I mean, interest rates, insurance, stock market, elections.
I was just going to say, yes.
There's so many things that affect what could be going on in that particular house. If you sold it 2 years earlier, I would have told you a different story, or 2 years later.
Right. So,
what are you predicting now that the election's over, COVID's passed, the boom is kind of...
Yeah. It was a quiet summer. Every election cycle we have a quiet. People just don't know the direction of things. They're hesitant to make a move. We've had interest rates high, which hasn't helped, but every election time it's quiet. So this past 4 months, it's been very quiet.
You think it's going to pick up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Definitely. I mean, I
good.
think especially South Florida, Palm Beach, Miami. I mean, I think we're in higher end. The high end market, I wouldn't say that it was slow or stopped because of the election, but a lot of those people aren't here in the summertime, so
It was quiet
that made it quieter.
anyway.
But I definitely think that it will help. I don't know that we're gonna skyrocket at all to the frenziness that we saw right after COVID when
Right.
everyone was trying to escape New York and escape California and Chicago and all these places. But I think, it'll be healthy.
Is there an aspect of real estate that's your favorite part that you really enjoy more than? Is it like the first meeting with the client,
I would
getting
say
the contract?
knowing your
Is it-
relationships too, or
So the thing that I am least excited about,
Okay.
so I'll start there, or cared the least about, is the paycheck. I mean, that sounds crazy, but you know me well enough to know that, like, I don't even think about it. I don't even care. I don't know if it came in. Usually my husband, Nate, is like, did you get that check? That's like the last thing I'm thinking about.
Right.
My favorite thing is, like, I'm so competitive. I am
Which is good.
I get a lead and I'm like, I'll be there at 8:45 tonight. And I've done that multiple times. The cute little blue house on Ingraham that I sold, after we sold the house, he told me why he hired me over, I won't name, but big top agents by the beach. And, he called me and said, you sold a house across the street and a blind lead. I don't know what you really call that, but just like not a relationship.
right.
And he just saw my sign across the street. And he said, well, my wife and I are thinking about it. This is a week before Christmas, a few days before Christmas. We're thinking about it, so maybe we'll have you come by the first week of January. My kids are coming in town. My grandkids are coming in town. So that sounds good. How about we make an appointment for the first week of January? Okay. And I said, well, when do your kids come in town? And he said, tonight or tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow. And I said, well, I'm in the area. I'll come by now. And I don't even think I was in the area. But I was like, I'm going to come by right now. I'm like, I don't want to wait. I get so excited. I don't want to wait until January.
Right.
And a
And the
lot
wheels
could
get
change
turning.
in 2 weeks in January. In that time, they might forget about me. So he was like, really? Okay, let me just holler to my wife, and she's gardening. Okay, come on over. And I said, obviously, I'm not going to be prepared with a full listing presentation, but I'm excited. I want to see this house. I knew the house already. So just from, selling in the area, but I love and I just know I'm going to get it.
Well, you have a remarkable tenacity about yourself and conviction to, like, your clients. You are dedicated to them and getting their house sell. I mean, morning, noon, and night, it's like 24/7, 7 days a week.
Yep.
But what we know and see of you is that you are there to make it happen for your clients.
Thank you.
I mean, there's not a lot of people like that. Which is probably the reason why you do so well.
One of my most memorable compliments was from you, Scott, about a year and a half ago. Scott called me. I have no idea about what. It was probably about a barbecue this weekend or something. And I picked up the phone, and it's a Saturday, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm doing an open house, and I've got a coffee truck. And
It was so cute.
And I've got all this stuff going on, and I don't know how it came up, but he was like, God, every time you have such good work ethic.
You do.
And I guess I knew that, but listen, coming from you and the businesses you've run and what you've seen and who you've met and your success, it was like a very good feeling and memorable.
You're very impressive, the way in which you work. Like you just said, a coffee truck.
I would know.
Who has an open house
all
where
of
they
her
bring a coffee
open
truck
houses are
or whatever?
spectacular.
Yeah.
Tell us about how even you go into curating each of those events. I mean, you're a great party planner to begin with.
So I find that a lot of realtors don't want to spend money. Who would spend? I mean, the coffee trucks.
They don't want to spend money when they're going to make a lot of money.
Or the champagne truck or the mimosa truck.
Right. I'll do the mimosa truck. I'm having an ice cream truck in Andover Sunday. I mean, I'm doing an open house, and people don't want to spend money. Who wants to spend? They don't want to spend money on the photos, the extra money. I spend $1,000 on pictures. The ice cream or the coffee truck probably is $1,200 for 2 hours. But
well, there's the old expression: you spend money to make money.
yeah. And first of all, I think it's fun. I
Yeah.
want like a prop.
Right.
I want people to come and have a good time. I
And
want
remember,
them.
they'll remember you.
I want them to remember it. And you know, in my neighborhood, my neighbors always pop by.
I was just going to say, does it like draw more people too that wouldn't necessarily maybe come by?
I mean, nobody's coming from, you know, Palm Beach just to drive down to my ice cream truck. That's
But
not.
it's realtors who are showing up.
Sometimes,
to your-
some is realtors. Some, it depends. I do brokers opens and I go all out. Sometimes I hire a party planner, and
Really?
to do
Yeah,
a
they're
full spread.
amazing.
And make it pretty. I want it to elevate the house. I want it to. I want brokers to have a good time.
Social
Even
media.
though I'm new to social media, I
Right.
want them. I know they'll put it on social
Social
media. And you know, sometimes the owners don't even know
that you've done all
what
this.
I'm doing. They usually find out after the fact because their neighbor will tell them.
Right.
Holy cow, you had the best party at your house, you know,
And it
and they're
was
not
like,
there. They're
even
never there.
That is so funny.
But yeah, so usually people, I think, find out or they realize how good I was to work with or how much I took care of them after the
Process,
fact.
yeah.
You know? I think they like take a chance and hire me and then I exceed their expectations and then they refer me.
So when you
Better business.
when you get a listing, are
Yeah.
there any important aspects of that's like important with a listing? I mean, will you take any listing?
No.
That's interesting, really.
Like if it's in a bad location
15
or it's,
years ago I would have
But not
of
now.
course. Now I no, I won't take an overpriced listing because it would waste my time. And I would disappoint someone. And then, you know, then that goes back to just being honest with people.
Yes.
Right.
I would rather tell them up front, and if we're not on the same page
Then
or
it's
they
just
don't believe
makes
me,
sense too.
then you know we part ways and someone else is a better fit. But there was a time last spring where I was so incredibly busy and had 9 listings, which is way too many. I like 3 or 4 at a time and then sell one and pick up a new one. But that's a good rhythm for me.
why is like 9 too many?
Because I
'Cause
don't.
you
It's just
can't
me.
be there.
You
Yeah.
can't service 9 listings.
Okay.
Your phone rings.
Right.
This is probably like when Nate would be
Yeah,
showing up
as a
without me
busy
all the
mom.
time.
Yeah.
You know, I've got 2 little girls. It's just you can't service it. I was so
Spread too thin.
spread too thin. My phone's
Mm.
ringing way too much. If I had a whole, you know, team under me of people, but I like to control my business and I want to be the one to do everything. And I've had to let go of a little bit of that, but 9 listings are not good. And so even when I piled up the 9 listings, I had people calling me, hey, I've got this condo, you know, it's worth $1.2 million, or some sweet person that says, you know, I have this cute little $450,000 townhouse. And I just said to them, I am sorry, but I cannot service you. Right. Like I just can't take
Right.
the business. You will not get the full
What you need.
what you deserve. So yeah.
Back to that honesty again.
Yeah. So what happens or what do you do when you come across a house and you know, okay, this is a good house. It's in a great neighborhood. And you walk inside and it's an absolute disaster.
Happens all the
Meaning-
time.
I was gonna
Happened,
say, yeah,
happened
one
this
right now.
morning. I was this morning.
Yeah.
So you've got to fix it. And not every
When
situation.
did that begin? Like that
I
whole
started doing
fixing
this-
these houses before.
I started doing this about maybe 12 years ago that I really remember. And 12 years ago, I was doing well, you know, fine, but not to the point where I am now. I would go in and, you know, those 90s maroons and the greens and, you know, the dark red colors.
Yep.
And I was seeing that a lot.
Old
it was
world,
just kind
the
of
gilded-y,
old world. Yeah.
Yeah. The dark.
And so
paint.
I would say, what do you think about painting the house? You know, just that was it.
How do most people react to that?
That's a lot of work when
It's
you're
a lot of
living
work.
there.
You know, they don't think it's worth it. They don't get it. Oh, these new people are going to paint. They don't want they're
My
not going to
paint.
want my color.
Yeah.
I'm going
Right.
to pick this color and they're going to want, but it is about making something sell it all.
Right.
Not just, you know, if you're living in a house and you have to make your beds and clean it up and get everything ready, you don't want to do that for 6 months. You don't want to pick up your kids' toys or whatever it is, and for 6 months of showings where you could have a showing twice a week because
But do most people clean up and make their beds and
Yeah.
have the house
I-
presentable, or do you go around doing it?
oh well, a little of both.
And is that
It
in an
depends.
agreement that they kind of
No.
take care of the
No,
housekeeping?
never. I usually kind of know somewhat of what I'm getting into. You know, I can tell. But a realtor in my office just yesterday was kind of joking that he's at a point where he has about 9 listings right now that he's had for 6 months.
That's too
all of
long,
them.
right?
Wow.
Way too long. And I have 1 listing right now. I have 2 coming on today or tomorrow. But he was like, yours just sell. You sell them fast. I would rather, I think this is like key for my business, I would rather spend a month prepping a house, literally getting myself
Than just-
dirty, whatever. I'm not the one painting, but coordinating painters, and I have a great team of landscapers, painters, any kind of
Like
resource.
Wait, landscapers. So
Oh, yeah.
you're fixing landscaping
Oh,
for
well,
a house that
everything.
you're
You
going
have
sell.
to have it curb appeal.
Any curb
I mean,
appeal, you need to like give people
Even just
purpose
declutter.
to okay, this is a usable backyard. You need them to picture themselves there. So I would rather spend a month, 3 or 4 weeks prepping a house, telling them what to put away, what to pack, what to get ready. Listen, you're moving anyways, so take down all your photos.
Yeah, you're right.
Put all your garbage away, give away boxes. So get it out of my sight, and you'll feel better too.
Right.
So then you're going in and maybe reorganizing furniture and
Sometimes, I mean, it depends. A lot of times you're decluttering, and a lot of times you're holding somebody's hand. They've been in a house, for 20
a long
years.
time.
It is emotional. It's hard.
Right,
They're not
right.
quite ready. They don't know where to start. It's overwhelming. So you become part psychologist, therapist. But so probably 12 years ago, I can remember this one house in my neighborhood where, you know, all these dark red walls, and the owner didn't have a ton of money, didn't want to do it. And I said, well, I'll do it. Will you let me pay
Wow.
for it? And so
so do you ask them for the money back when they sell, or
no,
it
I
just
just
comes off
I
your
just said I
commission?
believe in it that much that it will make a difference in
Wow.
how much money you get and how much easier it will be for me to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's worth your time.
So it's worth my time
Right.
and money.
Right.
You know, time is money. So it just is like it brightens a place up. It kind of then you can kind of see, okay, this is just not my furniture. I
Right.
can replace the furniture. And they always end up painting anyways. Nobody ever keeps the color.
Well, when you talk about furniture, that brings in like the next level of staging opportunities, which I know you rely on sometimes too.
Yeah, I have a
When
place.
did that
But-
even
but,
change
But
the
explain
industry?
staging for people who might not ever
So
heard or know.
staging is where you bring in furniture that you're borrowing, you're renting for a period of time. It could be 2 months to hopefully not more than 6 months.
Right.
It costs a lot of money to stage places, and it's very hard at times to convince a seller that this will help your house sell. And you also have to tell them your taste is not everyone's taste.
That must be a tough one.
It can be very tough, you know,
Yeah.
and they
Your baby's ugly.
How many times? Right, your baby's. How many times I've gotten a phone call from this sweet person that says, "Oh, we updated our kitchen." And
you go
this
in.
and that, and I'm excited. It's going to be a great listing, and it was updated in 2005. You know, and it's just you just have to be gentle with people and tell them that it's lovely, but it's not what people are want right now. So I started paying for things at times myself. I mean, I wasn't trying to be too crazy and throw money away, but if I really believed in it, or I would say I'll split it with you. I'll split the difference with you because I'm invested personally,
Right.
and I believe in this. And so I think especially splitting something with people, they could get on board.
Yeah.
And then as I saw it work, and
So you
work,
got more
work
confidence
better,
in pushing
then
it.
I would get more confident with going to speak to someone and saying, hey, you knew the Smiths down the street. You went to dinner parties at their house for Christmas years before, but you saw what it looked like 3 months ago when we sold it.
Right.
And people are like, yeah, never looked better. You know, like, oh, it was amazing. Nobody ever cleaned up their yard until you sold it, you know?
Right.
So then and I always tell people, I talk to a seller and I'm like, picture yourself. You're the buyer. I'm gonna show you houses. What are you looking for? What are you looking at? Would you buy this kitchen? Would you be able to see past these walls, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of helps people. There's definitely so much psychology in it.
Yeah.
Not in a mind trick kind of way, but just understanding and
Right.
helping people understand.
And people are so different, wired different.
And everybody's got a different motivation, why they're moving, why they want to downsize, life changes. So, you know, it's like every situation is so different, which I also think is really fun about my job.
So this, what we've been talking about has been people selling the houses and changing
Mm-hmm.
it. But what about the people who are going out looking to buy a house, who are going into houses?
Mm-hmm.
The average person really can't visualize
Right.
themselves how it could
Right.
be different. How do you overcome, or how do you work with that to help people visualize?
I mean,
Or even if you stage it,
Yeah.
and they don't care for the staging.
Well, people typically like the staging because it feels newer and fresher.
Right, even if
Okay.
it's not their style,
Taste.
Right.
at least it's a blank slate or it's clean. Or with buyers, I mean, I have a pretty good eye, and I know, you know, silly information like ballpark what a generator cost, ballpark what a roof cost. You know, I'm
You need to
pretty
put-
good within a window of. I'll say to somebody, I bet this roof is, you know, $50,000 to $55,000, and then they're always like, Allison, it was $54,000. How would you know that? I'm like, I've seen a lot of roof, you know.
Right.
So same thing. Hey, we could move this door, and now this can be a bedroom instead of something else. Or half the time I'm texting Tiffany,
Yeah.
what can I do here, Tiffany? Help me. This has potential. How can I change
didn't know
it?
that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see.
Well, they go
one of my
hand in
resources.
hand. Yes.
Yeah, one of my resources.
Two industries definitely go hand in hand.
You know, one of the things that we do a lot is the 3D visuals. I don't know if you've seen, like, where
A little bit, yeah.
we're taking, where someone looks at what they currently have,
Yeah.
and then they're looking at a big picture that's 3D, like, looks like a photograph of what
Right.
it's going to be.
Sometimes they're hard to tell apart, whether they're photographs or
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen.
it's so
digital.
realistic.
You mean the front of the house or
Yeah,
any
any
part
any
of it?
room.
So cool. It's amazing.
And as soon as people see that, they're immediately, okay, we want that, change our whole room, or we want to change all these rooms just the way the pictures are.
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
it makes our job a little easier.
Yeah.
And-
I've there's times.
Do you use any of that? Or?
So probably 6 years ago, I started using this photographer that they're kind of they've always been ahead of the game with virtual staging. Do you know what that is? Like you just implant furniture into a white room.
Yeah.
And some of it is really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. But,
plant, like, just-
but this particular, you know, software that they have, I mean, it is hard to tell in some of them that it's not real. People are blown away. And I mean, but sometimes you have to stage so that people
can feel it.
feel it and different, you know,
Right.
oh, okay, this room is so big, but I
Right.
see two
Multiple
sitting areas.
sitting areas,
Or
exactly.
but so I use a little bit of the virtual staging, sometimes some renderings, but you know, it's amazing with what you can offer people and kind of help them with their process of what something could look like.
So what's the average time that something stays on the market, and what's too long?
You know, the old pre-COVID 6 months was the norm.
Right. Okay.
And then for 3 years, 2.5 years during COVID, it was
A week.
a day, you know.
You had to make a decision.
It was a
make your-
day. And now I think probably 4 months is the
Average?
is the norm. And of course, it depends on the price point, but I would say that's realistic, 4 months. And if you are, but it's always price. People can make it, excuses or can think it's other things, and it could be other things, but at some price, someone is going to buy this. Mm-hmm. And someone could look at that and say, well, at a lower price, I could have done it on my own, which I don't think is really the case, because you have to just have that experience to be able to guide somebody through that,
And is it true that like really your first offer is typically your best offer?
A lot of times it is. That's, I hear little rules like, oh, you can offer 10%, off the list. Well, that's not true, but a lot of times your first offer is your best, maybe a little over half the time.
So what is that happens when you get those offers? What does that negotiation process look like? And how do you even know to weed them out? Like, yeah, this is something I'm willing to even entertain with.
So I like to price properties. If you guys said to me, Allison, we have to get 3.8 for our house, okay? A lot of realtors might come in and say, and you guys might think this way also, let's list it at 4.5, give ourselves room to negotiate. Uh-huh. And again, confidence and experience, I might have thought that, yeah, good strategy, let's try it. And sometimes we can try it. Sometimes it might work. But I just think that you're helping other houses to sell. When you are overpriced, there is not an urgency in buyers. So I like to, if 3.8 was our number, but of course a little more would be great, I would say let's price it at 3.999, and you are going to get real buyers. There is going to be an urgency. They're going to see the value.
Right.
They're going to want to get it before someone else gets it. And
because it was a good buy
or
a
just
proper,
it's fair.
It's fair.
It's there's when it's overpriced, they may love it and come in and say, but it's going to be here tomorrow. It's going to be here next week. So let's just keep looking. We'll keep an eye on
and then
Scott and Tiffany's house, and they're gone. They're not coming back in most cases. And then you sit, and then you have to do price reductions anyways. So, it's important that you have an advisor that you trust that knows
advisor,
what
you mean a
me,
realtor.
A realtor that you trust and they have your best interest. They're not just trying to make a quick sale or a quick buck, you know?
Or add to the listings. They're just really trying to move it.
Right. And it's hard. I mean, if you were sitting there and somebody tells you, hey, it's worth 4.5, and somebody else says it's worth 3.8 to 3.9, it's tempting to go with the higher price, but
it's not realistic.
Facts are facts when it comes to what the history of a neighborhood is selling for, what the history of market is selling for, and the market, the buyers are going to determine what somebody's house is worth, not you guys, even though sellers like to think it's them.
Right, the buyers are the ones who are making those.
Yeah.
What's the norm, and you're selling someone's house, how often do you typically communicate with that person? Is it every day? Is it once a week? Is it? Is there a norm, or to make people feel comfortable, or?
I mean, if it's silent, if we're not getting any action, you're not. If I'm showing it every day, I'm talking to them, texting them every day. Hey, I'm here. Here's the feedback. But if we're not getting showings or phone calls, that's when it's
like time to
gets a little scary. But it's best to communicate, and rather than go into hiding and just realtors, good realtors get nervous, or they don't like the uncomfortable conversations, and so they kind of avoid and hope something's going to change, hope something is going to happen, and it's just better to reach out. So I don't think I would let more than a week go by, 4 or 5 days to just give feedback. Hey, I'm we're not getting phone calls, or we're getting.
Does that really happen?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens. And also, if I have other listings and I can see, hey, there's a ton of action over here and there's not over here, so we can't just say there's no buyers.
Right.
You know, they're just not putting the same value that you are on this. So, yeah, I mean, it's I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if I am getting the same feedback from
people,
if I am showing a house to buyers and I'm getting the same feedback, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think.
well, do you follow up with buyers, like other realtors, and see what they say? I mean,
Yeah, but it's so rare to get honest, real feedback, and it's hard because the sellers
from the people who are out looking, or
the
realtors who are with those people,
all of it, buyers and buyers agents. It's hard to get real feedback. Sellers expect that everybody would give real feedback. The buyers themselves, they just say not a fit,
right?
But they don't want to they don't want to offend you and say.
Correct.
The ceilings
Your
are
baby
too
is
low.
ugly.
The baby is ugly. They don't want to offend you and say the ceilings are too low, or it's gotta, no curb up. They don't. And then buyers, realtors have moved on. Their feedback is, we're not calling you again.
Yeah.
That is their feedback. Right. And they don't want to waste their time. They don't want to put the energy. I mean, myself, when I'm with a buyer, it's kind of annoying when a listing agent that I showed a place to is like, can you give me some feedback? And I'm like,
they're not interested.
Yeah, not interested.
Right.
Like, you just, so it's hard to get real feedback. It's very helpful though. But so if you're seeing the same thing, hey, the house is too dark, the house is too small. There's going to be things you cannot change, of course, but I have changed course like we're on the market 3 weeks, and I'm like, nope, this isn't working. It's not always about just reducing the price. It might be about, hey, we have to stage this playroom. This house wants a dining room.
Right.
In this price
Right.
range,
Yes,
people
yes.
need to see a dining room and they can't
true.
see it. So sometimes I'm like, time out. We're shifting gears and we're going to stage something or paint something or
So do you take it off the market?
Not too often.
No, just
It depends. It depends.
gears.
Sometimes I'll put it temporarily off market for a minute. Sometimes I just say, hey, it can't be shown until Sunday. And this isn't, this is probably 1 in 4 or 5 listings. So it's not every time.
So your focus is mainly on your listings, not taking people around to see other houses. Am I correct in saying that?
A little
Say-
bit. 15 years ago, I worked mostly with buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I didn't, and I liked it. I mean, I was making money and it was good, and I'd get listings, but you
You
want
like the
listings.
challenge.
Listings is how you get more buyers. Listings brings more listings. Buyers, you can drive them around for
Months.
3 years, and they go buy from somebody else.
That's true.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's true.
That's
You
gotta
know,
be
listings, you have a contract, you have a
Right.
time to sell it, you have an opportunity to sell it, and
You're up against the clock kind of thing.
yeah,
You have a-
yeah. But you're getting paid most likely.
Right.
Buyers, it's like,
It's a if, a
and
big what if.
right, if this works, then this, and sometimes buyers have to sell their house to buy.
Yes.
So sometimes they want to look at what they could buy, but they have to sell first. So we know we're showing things that they can't actually
Right.
pull the trigger on. So
That's got to be difficult in wearing.
yeah. I enjoy some of the buying process.
Seeing a lot of what's out there.
And
different.
you get to know the people. On the listing side, a lot of times it's more transactional. After the listing appointment and the prep, you barely see them.
Right.
They're out of the house, you're in the house.
Yeah.
So the relationship isn't the same. When you work with a buyer,
You're together. a
you
lot.
know their motivation. You know you really get to know them. I mean, good and bad. You know, you definitely play therapist, and but I get pretty fortunate with buyers. They're serious. They're only working with me.
There's a confidence.
Yeah.
You recently made a big change as we started this conversation. You
Yeah.
said how you started with a family friend's business and you kind of stayed there for quite a while. In the world we live in now of like this digital world and social media, how did switching to a more mainstream global, right, company?
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess they just announced this week that they're going global.
Yeah. And all that infrastructure that comes with it. How have you found that evolution for your path?
Why did I move?
Why?
Or
and just like the big
going?
difference, like just all the what is it? All
The more helpful.
Yeah.
So
Strategic partnerships or
yeah, I mean, I'm a very loyal person. I don't like a lot of change.
Most people don't.
You think?
Yeah.
You know, but I could eat the same dinner like 4 nights a week and not, I'd be content.
right.
Or
We can't.
I know
We
you
have
can't.
to have something different.
That's good for Nate. We'll be married forever. You know, like I am very loyal. I like the same thing. I like what it, so it just worked at
Well,
my
I'm
old.
saying that just about dinner.
What?
We like something different type
Right,
of dinner
right.
every night. So we're always
you.
cooking something. You know that.
So, it was it worked at the company I was with for a long time. People were working with me. They were not working with the company. It was a smaller firm. It was a local firm, a family firm. But it was all my relationships.
Right.
In 20 years, they never gave me a single piece of business
They
or
didn't.
referral. Never. And it just didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But they were also mostly a Broward County firm.
Right.
And I mostly work
Palm
Delray, Boca, Palm Beach County. So, but it always just kind of coasted, and nobody bothered me. I knew their systems. I knew, how they had their own marketing department. It's just like flowed. And COVID was a really big growth in my business, and I just saw opportunity and just, for my family, I just said, okay, how long is this going to last? How long is this boom going to last? I'm going to take every opportunity while you can get it. But really, I kind of became like a household name in a lot of little areas.
Yep.
And so that growth and the price points changed so much.
Right.
Every $800,000 house became a 1.6 house. And
they sold in days or hours.
Days. And then the houses that were $2 million became $5 million. So just a few good relationships that led to some great opportunities, great sales, referring business. I moved into this really nice price point, $2 to $5 million, close to the beach in Delray. And they're all friends. Everybody's friends and, referring me. And it's so cute. I love these people. I really do become friends with them, and my kids will play with their grandkids but I got into this price point, and there were a few times last year where I went on a listing appointment that was a cold call. They just saw my sign, no relationship, and I interviewed for the job, but without knowing the people, without a connection. And there was this one in particular who, actually I saw you that day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this one in particular, probably a year ago, where I knew I got this listing. I nailed it. I prepped and had this awesome presentation. And I also knew who I was up against. They told me who I was up against. And it was like the top beach agent that's been around for 20 years.
Yep.
Right.
And I connected with the wife and the husband, and it was just great.
It
and
was,
and so 2 days later, I get a call, and they said, we just want to let you know we love you, Allison. Your presentation was better. We like you more. You know, you sold our neighbor's house. But we're going to go with the national company. We think we need like this high-end luxury brand. And it was like I got punched in the gut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you know, I understand. And
So you didn't lose it because of you. You lost it because of who you're working with.
yes, yes. And they said, like, you know, we like you better. You know, we trust you
The
more.
commitment was so there too from knowing
And
you
I had
the
such
other.
a plan. I was like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do landscaping here. We're gonna do this. We're, you know, all these things. And I'm always willing to show up, meet contractors, get myself dirty. You don't have to be here. You go stay at work. I will meet these people and make this all happen, and it'll be ready in 3 weeks or whatever.
For the deal.
And so I remember I walked into Tiffany's office and I just started crying. And I mean, that had not happened to me in 10, 15 years, crying over not getting a listing. Come on. But it just was,
Such a catapult.
I knew I should have gotten it. And
The people didn't feel you had the support system
right. So they
behind you.
felt like they needed a luxury national brand.
Right.
And I had heard that another time or two, but this one was like a sure bet that this was my house to sell. And truthfully, it wasn't even the best house. It wasn't a great house to sell. It was expensive, but it had a lot of challenges of its own, and so it wasn't a slam dunk for me to sell it.
It was a challenge that you said you
yeah,
enjoyed
yeah.
too.
And
so.
I liked these people, and I just you know knew it was for me to do in this moment, and so I didn't get it. And can I tell you? I mean, I cried, but it was fine. I kept the relationship. I never shut a door.
Right,
I kept
that's
the
great.
relationship. I ended up working with them 2 more times this year. Even though they listed with this other person, they worked with me to sell their mom's house, help their mom find a new house, and I've kept this relationship with them. The house stayed on the market for over a year.
That's insane.
With that realtor.
Wow.
Kept dropping the price. And this couple that I had become friends with, they were calling me saying, hey, what would you do? We got this offer. What should we drop the price? Should I knock the house down and build a spec house?
Oh, jeez.
And we're talking, you know, this is like a $3.5 million house. Should I knock the house down? The lot's worth this. I can build this. I'm like, what does your realtor say? What are they saying that you hired? What? And he's like, well, I don't know. I trust you. And I'm like, this is crazy. And they knew that they made a mistake. Also, that other national brand realtor overpriced the house by $400,000, $500,000.
Wow.
And I said, absolutely not. Look, and I showed them A, B, and C of why it was. And I said, they'd moved out of the house, you know, they had moved on. So somebody who's moved out, you don't want to just hang on to something. It's a liability. It's it's costing you.
The drain.
Yeah. There's no,
Yeah.
And it was a house that was going to need a roof.
Right,
Gonna
if
need
they're
one. It
not
was going to
gonna
need. It
use
wasn't
it.
improving. Nothing was getting better for this house. And so I said a certain price, and then the other one said $500,000 more. And I would check on that house all the time, and they would just shave off
Another
100,
100.
shave off 50,
Price improvement.
shave off 50, and you know it was.
Did it eventually sell?
It did for like $1 million less than
what it started.
where they wanted to be, or where they were told it would be. I mean, it sold for lot value, and it was you could definitely make this a cute beachy house with the right decorator and
So
some
you
other
ended up
things.
changing to a new firm just recently.
Yeah. And I had the opportunity. So again, I've become friends with this couple and worked with their family twice. And maybe 2 months ago, I told them,
that you moved.
They were part of the reason why I moved. That conversation,
Aw.
and they felt terrible. They were like,
Oh, no.
my gosh, no, we didn't mean for that, and we were stupid." And I said, honestly, sometimes you just need that
You
kick
in
in the pants, and
Yep.
I was scared. I've got little kids. I didn't want to go through the process of rebranding and starting over because I knew it would be a setback to have
But
to.
was it really in hindsight? I feel
Well,
like,
I'm still in it. I mean,
Right.
it's so new. It's so
Yes,
new. But
okay.
so yeah, I'm learning all kinds of new technology and programs and
assets that they bring to the table.
yes. I mean, there's so much that I moved to Compass, and there's so much that they offer for realtors, for their clients, and there's so much to learn. I keep joking that I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff.
Are you enjoying like the learning process of this?
No,
No.
I'm not. Why do you speak that face? No, but what I am enjoying that I've never had, because I always was like just this lone person. I worked from home. I never had interaction with any realtors in my office. They never showed my listings. I never showed their listings. I wouldn't go into the office.
That's not a very supportive
No, and it was
operation.
No, it wasn't their fault. I created that a lot myself. I
Insulated
if I
yourself,
wanted
yeah.
to, I just knew what I had to do, and I went to work, and I didn't need them. I would just, they held my paperwork, they held deposits, and they put their logo on things. So
Right.
I didn't realize, but I used to call other realtors that are in town that I respect, that are my competition, but I have great relationships with a lot of them, and I trust their, handful of them, I trust their judgment. And so
Right.
sometimes I would call them and say, "Hey, what do you think about this price point? I think I'm listing this at $2,999. And they would say, "Well, I've got this under contract down the street for $3,200. I think you could bump the price up." So it's like this camaraderie, or this, other professionals that do well, that know the business, work in my area.
Right.
I never could have asked a single person at my old company
To even
Wow.
understand where your feet
ever.
were.
And
Yeah.
even at my old company, I was a couple years their top producer, which was great. A nice like pat on the back. It didn't get me anything, didn't get me anything other than not even a dinner, nothing, but just like thanks
Well,
for.
it sounds like it's good that you moved on.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the old company, even if I had forged relationships, they were selling a different market. They were selling not only Broward County, but $400,000 houses, not
Yeah,
$2 million houses.
Right.
So it's great to walk into my office now, which is right in downtown Delray. We have the cutest little brand
It
new
is
office.
so nice.
And there might be 2-3 people. We've got a team of, there's about 15 of us on the team. And I can say, "Hey, I've got this coming on market," or "Does anybody I've got somebody looking for a rental. They'd spend $80,000 a month.
Right.
Anybody
Wow.
have a client that you can ask, can I give them $80,000 for the month of February for their house?"
Right. That's
And
cool.
somebody goes, "I think I might have a guy that is
Would
going to
do
be
it.
in Europe for February, and he might do it." So already, I've only been officially there 2 or 3 months, but already that is happening daily, these
Yeah,
kinds of
that's-
conversations.
Sounds like a much better run company.
Yes. Well, it's kind of it's refreshing. It's nice to have an
Youth,
office.
too. Like there's
Yes, a lot of young people, and you also are not alone. I didn't really. This is a specific office with just a team of 15. They belong to Compass nationally, but it's not an office with 300
Right.
realtors. It's a small group. So it's still kind of, I'm learning a lot, but I do really love the fact that I have an office to go to, and it's right where I work. I
It
pop
is.
in
You live
between
in there.
appointments, and then I'm gonna have conversations with people that who knows what that's
Gonna lead
what's
to.
going to lead to. Yeah.
Well, I think that's amazing and a great way to wrap up on a positive, exciting.
Let's ask a couple of.
No, I know we will.
last
We'll do our
questions.
fun little stuff.
Oh,
now.
okay.
But I was saying, I like.
Yeah.
All right. So we always wrap up with just some fun design questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite restaurant design-wise?
Oh, design. Ooh.
Doesn't have to be local. Could be anywhere you've traveled or
Gosh.
you have one.
What's the place that with the princess cake and that we've been to?
San Ambrose.
Yes, I love
I
how,
love that,
I love
too.
that. Anywhere that has
On the island,
what's
Palm
that?
Beach Island.
Yeah, what's that style?
Oh, it's like it's like an Art Nouveau.
Or anything at the Boca Raton. Like
Yeah,
their whole
they've done a dynamic
everything
interior
there is
change.
I love that style.
Yeah,
The
and that
it
is
the
like an
flamingo?
Art Nouveau Palm Beach. Yeah, the flamingo,
Yeah.
so pretty.
Yeah. And I feel like it has little touches in my house.
Yes, you feel
In it,
comfortable
too.
there.
Yeah.
What about hotel? Design wise, you have a favorite?
Design wise.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I love the breakers.
I love
just
the breakers too.
you
The
know,
history,
The history.
Takes you back in
the-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
The Gilded Age.
Yeah. It's not just like a hotel. It's a
It's
little experience
special.
and timeless and
Destination. What's your favorite design element in your home?
probably my pantry.
I know. I like your pantry
my
too.
butler's pantry that we created from nothing.
nowhere.
Everyone told me it you couldn't have it. It couldn't exist. And then I said, I know who could figure this out. I'm gonna call Tiffany Woolley. Swear, I tell people that all the time.
So
So,
funny.
so you're very heavily involved in charitable foundations in the area in South Florida. Is there one particular event that you really like more than any?
Well, I mean, last week
was fun.
was fun. The Hope Bash. It's probably one of the best put on events that annually we
It's one
go
of the
to.
best that I've been to in years.
Yeah, that's good.
In terms of how well organized it was.
Yeah.
What was really amazing to me is that it was a premium open bar, which
I know.
And I
I
actually
haven't
loved
seen
how
that
the
in-
bars
in
were
years and years.
destinations. Like they were like
Yeah,
in the
here-
room.
yeah,
Like I thought
yeah.
they were
They had to
really. It
travel
was
around.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a meeting there yesterday and meant to tell them that you commented on that. It was like a follow-up to the committee that chaired it.
Yeah.
And that was one of my notes that I've got to send
That's
to
so
them.
cute.
No, it was well done.
Yeah, and I think what we were talking about yesterday in this committee kind of follow-up meeting was it's a younger crowd for a lot of times what you see in Boca. It's not the same people. Like a lot of times you go to
True.
and I go to other things too, and they're wonderful, charities. And
Organizations.
my dad and my mom and brother, they've always been a part of, different charities and giving back. But a lot of times you see the same people. You go to the the Alzheimer's luncheon, and you go to the breast cancer luncheon,
Right.
and the
leukemia.
right, and the Boca the hospital, and and you see a lot of the same people, and they're wonderful, generous people that are giving and able to give to all these organizations. But for some reason, Place of Hope, it's the last 5 years or so that I've been involved. It's kind of a different crowd, and I was telling them yesterday, I love that they don't shy away from their beliefs, their faith. They're letting you know
love
this
that
is
too,
a
Christian.
faith-based
Yeah, I love
organization. We can't do it alone. God is
I love
a part
that.
of it. They don't shy away from that.
It was right at the front podium.
and
too.
America, how pro-America they
It
are,
is
and
true.
they want. I think it's catching on in the
I
last
agree.
2 weeks too. I think
Yeah.
it's really resonating with
Faith
people.
and freedom.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun to have you guys there
Well, it was fun to go and attend and get dressed.
and dress up.
And get dressed up in a Western theme, which we seem to all kind of like these days. Your girls, with
Yeah,
their little
yeah.
dance. So cute. Well, thank you for joining us
Thanks.
today
This is so
on
fun.
iDesign.
My first
Your
podcast.
first podcast.
I've never even listened to a podcast before.
Oh, Tiffany's addicted to them.
I know.
I
do
listen to
know
like
this.
5 a day.
I do know this. I do know. So thanks for having me on.
All right. Till
Thank
next time.
you.
Thanks.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.